This is the Desert Shamans channel. A thought came to me today about this whole balloon thing. So I'm going to name this video the test balloon. And that's exactly what it is. Any kind of covert operation or any kind of fear tactic they want to lay on the people's head starts off with a test balloon. Now, you may not see that test balloon. It might not be apparent to you that it is a test balloon. But they'll create an incident that is a precursor to another incident, but it will be related. And that's exactly what's going on here with this sighting of all these objects and the shooting down of supposed UFOs and this and that and this and that. You know, the test balloon, and it's really appropriate because in this case, it's an actual balloon. So it is a test balloon, and what is that test balloon for? Well, the test balloon is to see how people will react. When you put a test balloon up, it's to see which way the wind's blowing, what the atmospheric conditions are, how the balloon's going to react, that type thing. So that's basically what they're doing, is seeing how the people will react is the main goal here. Now see, they may not come in with a full UFO invasion type thing. Maybe that this is a precursor to seeing how people will react, okay? And people are reacting. And so they may think that, you know, well, their thoughts may be, and they probably are, let's put this little precursor out there, this little test balloon, let's put it out there and see how the people react to it. Let's see how many people buy into it. Let's see if the dumbed down masses will buy this as much as they bought, let's say, the pandemic, or let's say 9/11, or let's say thousands of other covert ops and agendas that they have thought up and are willing to orchestrate for their own benefit. So that's the way I see this. This is definitely a test balloon. And again, I say they've used these in the past. I don't want to go into each specific instance because there's so many that I couldn't if I wanted to. I could think of some, like I just said, right off the top of my head, but when they want to get a reaction, they'll do something on a smaller scale. But it will have the same connotations. I don't know if I made this apparent in my last video, and this video probably won't be that long. But that's what they do. They test something first. They test the reaction. It's insidious, really. And if the reaction is favorable in their eyes, like let's say certain people panic, or certain, you know, the populace gets upset, or how much does the populace buy into it? Does the populace see through it? Is it too transparent? They calculate, these think tanks or whoever sits around in these groups calculates this stuff daily, okay? They get feedback daily, okay? And they make sure that they get it out there on the mainstream media or through a movie. That's another way they do test balloons. They'll put out a movie. Hollywood will put out a movie, and it'll be about a certain thing, and they'll see if people get interested in that thing, and if they buy into that thing, and they use that thing later on down the road in like a massive, covert psyops, okay? Now, that's exactly how I predicted the pandemic back in 2014. They came out with a movie, and it was called Z, and it had Brad Pitt in it, and it was horrific. It was about viruses and people clambering over walls and attacking each other like zombies and that kind of thing. And they had several movies like that, actually. But that's one of the first ones where they actually started talking about antidotes and vaccines and stuff like that. So looking at that back in 2014, I just went, well, this is going to be an upcoming thing, or could be an upcoming thing. So I've always looked for earmarks. I've always looked for signs. I hope this video is coming out all right, because on my screen I can see slight glitches, but let's hope for the best. Yeah, so they do that. They do it with everything. They do a test bed. They've been doing test beds for years on people's reaction to certain threats of sicknesses like the bird flu and the swine flu and the Ebola and this and that. They've been doing this for years. They actually, by doing that, they actually start creating a reality. They start creating a reality that they think is going to be able to control the masses, or use fear to control the masses, just like organized religion and everything else, all based on the same thing. It's all the same overlay. It's all the same propagandized bullshit. So you can be sure, okay, that this latest incident, and people are talking about all kinds of ways that this could branch off, and it very well could. I mean, they're talking about just instilling fear of other countries, thinking that maybe other countries have advanced technology, or other countries are deploying certain means to spy, or that other countries are, testing us to see, testing America to see how they'll react to certain things. This is one scenario. This is one explanation they have out there. So what does that do? Well, the populace is like, oh, we might be attacked, or because they've been hyping up the nuclear war thing before this with the war in Ukraine and that type thing. All of this stuff is related, all of this stuff. And again, that's why we try to do shamanistic practices and get outside the realm of deception, okay? The trance realm that is laid on everybody's head. That's why we try to get outside of that. But at certain points, things become so obvious, it's incumbent upon me. I mean, I have thoughts come to my head from out of the universe, test balloon. And you couldn't get more, in your face, really. Actually on two different levels, they're telling you right out in front, just like they do a lot of times, hey, we're setting out a test balloon here, and this is what's coming next. Why they do that, I have no idea. Maybe it's to prepare. That's another thing it does, a test balloon, is it tests, but at the same time it actually prepares the consciousness of the mass, the hive mentality, or the herd mentality, or whatever you want to call it. It prepares the consciousness. It's like getting a pain shot before the surgery or something, you know what I'm saying here? It's like, well, let's lull them into this. Let's prepare the consciousness so it will be more acceptable. It's called a segue, It's like when you're broadcasting or when you're doing a video and you make a point, and then that point is a preparation or a segue into the other point. So the segue here is the balloon and the objects in the sky. Well, where does that, what's the natural segue from that? Well, the natural segue would be something even more impending, something even more frightful, something even more dynamic. And this can be ramped up off and on. They can give you a little test balloon and then take it away, and you don't think about it for a while, and then it comes back again in different form. But this one seems to be look to the sky. Okay, look to the sky and be fearful of what might come out of the sky, or look to the sky and be apprehensive about what might come out of the sky. So here everybody is, the consciousness has been slowly milked, okay, so that let's give them the milk first and then we'll give them the meat later. That's the way they work these things. Let's kind of lead them into this. This is what you have to be prepared for, is anytime you see anything of a magnitude that the whole world knows about, let's put it that way. The whole world is informed all at one time that there's all of a sudden objects up there. And then the test balloon, even before the test balloon, would be putting having people like Tucker Carlson and other people all of a sudden, the supposed truth tellers, and I'm not putting Tucker down, he does have a lot of truth. But they'll use people like that, too, with the UFO thing. I mean, he had guys on there, forget the guy's name, slips my mind at the moment, but he was ex-Defense Department, whatever, and he was saying, yeah, these UFOs have been around for a long time. And then they had the video about the Navy pilots chasing with actual footage. It was actually released. You think all this stuff's by accident? Think again. It's not by accident. This is what they do. This is what they do, people. So you need to be cognizant of the fact that this is what they do. And you have to realize you can almost become a prophet. I mean, once you start seeing these signs, okay, then it really doesn't take a prophet. It just takes somebody that is aware and awake and enlightened and knowledgeable and wise. That's all it takes. Critical thinking, lucid thinking, okay. Putting 2 and 2 together, putting 4 and 4 together, going up the chain until you figure out, hey, this is a tape loop. This has been done many, many times before. That's basically what all this is an eternal tape loop. You got the test balloons and you got the eternal tape loop. So you can expect, as you add things up, you see previous tape loops and you see previous test balloons, and then you kind of put 2 and 2 together. And also you can look at history, okay, and see what's been done in that regard, and how things led to war, or things led to, let's say, tyrants taking over, or how things led to dictators or tyranny or anything, and how it was accomplished. And basically they don't have too many tricks in the bag. It's divide and conquer, and it's propaganda, okay, and it's fear tactics to the max, okay. And so anything that you fear, they're going to prey upon. Anything that you have been programmed to fear through a belief system, let's say religion, the apocalyptic end times, or say for the other people, the alien civilization. Now, am I ruling out here that there's not aliens? Hell no. I mean, not Star Brothers, not the Star Nation. Yes, there is. Native Americans have known this. Other indigenous people have known this for years. There's other realms, and I've talked about it as well. However, because those exist does not mean that that is what's happening right now. Because those exist doesn't mean that that's the actual other realm coming through. But then you might say, well, what if it is? What if it is the other realm coming through? Well, there's certain things that you can figure out about that to tell you whether it's the actual realm. Number one, the first consideration would be, is this how an advanced civilization would work? I mean, if they wanted to take over a planet, they'd just come in and do it. There wouldn't be any big hoopla about it. Matter of fact, there could be herds of other dimensional people and archontic beings or whatever walking around amongst us right now. So it doesn't necessarily have to hang on the hook of it has to be sensational and it has to be dynamic and it has to be awe-inspiring, you know, kind of like the 9/11 hoax. Dynamic, awe-inspiring, frightful, worldwide known, that type of thing. So I'm just putting this short video out as a kind of a add to of my last video, some more thoughts that came into my head about that. I think that it might be helpful in the long run for people to discern what a crazy overlay, what a crazy tape loop, continuous tape loop that, you know, they use our belief systems to, they use to feed our belief systems, or the belief systems of a lot of people that have bought into the end time scenario. Or, you know, even they'll use scriptures right out of the Bible and pin it to whatever's going on. Like, you know, there's a scripture that says, you shall see sights in the skies that are, you know, frightening or whatever. You shall see portents and signs in the skies. Well, they're going to use that because they know that people believe that. Okay, that's what they're going to use. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I don't want this to drag on. I like to keep my videos shorter now because people's attention span sometimes is leaves a lot to be desired. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Adios.